Welcome back to the ESL Pro Series Season 11. We're halfway through today's matches, Azumo, in these round of 8, of course, after that pretty drawn-out series, to be honest, between round 6 and 3-2-1. But now we've got a very exciting matchup heading forward. Team Fusion in their new roster shuffle debut. Going to be taking on Storm, who played actually pretty solid in our one televised performance earlier in the week. So I'm pretty excited to see how that one shakes out.
Yeah, Fusion, they've gone through a couple of roster swaps since their expansion tournament debut, of course, losing Glebe, losing McNoon, and having to shuffle around their roster a little bit. Storm, of course, a newcomer to the challenger scene, and they're definitely looking to make a bigger splash. They played in the NACL about a month ago at the beginning of December, and they had some success. They beat out Final Five, who actually fell in the round of 16 to this tournament to G6, to Old Fear. So maybe not living up to their success in the expansion tournament with these roster changes was Final Five, but I'm looking forward to Fusion versus Storm. Absolutely.
And in Fusion, you know, this is kind of a tale of coming back from them. They had such a close call to make the LCS, and then, of course, losing McNoon, losing Glebe, or Glebe being gone now, and Trance Therapy's coming in as the supporting player. Chunky Fresh playing top lane. He was previously played support. He was kind of the all-around sub for them, and now he's just kind of back to doing that in the top lane, and we'll see how that one works out for them. On the other hand, Storm, a lot less of a chip on their shoulder, less expectations. You have guys like Lorelo, Doom Trobo, not as well known, but then, of course, in the mid lane, Mandatory Cloud has been kind of a big force to be reckoned with for a while, and he brings that level of experience and level-headedness that he can give to the team, and we'll see if that one kind of works out for them there. Nidalee is the first ban away from Lorelo.
Yeah, and also that could be targeted at ManCloud in the mid lane as well.
It's true, he does play that mid.
And we saw him like a month ago or so, maybe in Black Monster Cup or some other challenger event, play Nidalee in mid lane, and he actually did a lot of work. There's a lot of mid Nidalee players in this tournament. Pekin Wolf, Inox as well.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
So we'll have to see if that comes out. Lorelu, he's a really young top laner, up-and-coming top laner. Haven't seen much of him in the challenger scene yet. I think he's like 16 or 17 years old. So definitely trying to make a name for himself. In the round of 16, though, Storm struggled to make it through. They had a rough series, especially Doom Trobo. So I think he's really going to want to try and step up his game for the series if they're going to want to move forward.
Yeah, that's going to be a really big disparity in the matchup, too, taking on Nintendude X. Kind of a rough situation all around. Nintendude can get in your face and can punish you for the little mistakes, and if Doom Trobo does play like he did earlier in the week, he's going to have a very, very hard time. On the other hand, you know, there's, again, as we mentioned, less expectations here for Storm, but they still are going to want to go as far as they can, get that name for themselves, get ready for the NACS, and if you can take wins off Fusion, that is definitely a way to imprint your team in the minds of other challenger teams.
Yeah, of course, this is an unproven roster from Fusion. Trance Therapy, Round of Sport, and of course, Chunky Fresh up top lane. Chunky Fresh started out as a mid laner. Then he had to sub in at the support role for Fusion during the earlier stages of the expansion tournament. And then, of course, that is actually Nien, Uzi Pig Deft.
Yeah, we didn't really clarify that, but Nien's running on a slightly different name.
Yeah, he name changes all the time. He's a...
Speaking of fun names, Xpekek is the AD carry.
No.
I thought it was going to be Diamond.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it is, actually, though. And he was playing on Storm's roster earlier in the week, and we thought there was going to be sub out for...
Okay.
Yeah, so it's actually going to be Xpekek again. Also, Baby Eater. We didn't mention him as much.
Oh, yeah.
But in the bottom lane, this is a guy, he also has some LCS experience. He did sub for Bizarro CLG.
Yeah.
He played in that. He's been around the challenger scene for a decent amount of time. And, you know, he was for a while a little underrated. Now I think he's probably recognized a little bit more. And you mentioned maybe not as good as Conquan or other of the stellar supports in the challenger scene. But
still a support player to watch, though. And he's got a lot of experience with a lot of different AD carries as well. Most notably, he played for Frank Fang Gaming or Wasabi Gaming for a long time. And people were saying, I think at the end of 2013 or maybe even earlier in the year, people were touting them as a team to watch, and a lot of the players have found themselves on other teams. Nien Tanso was actually on that lineup as a top laner back in the day. So, wow, Gnar left through picks and
Azir.
bans. And Azir, so 2 big pickups right away. And Huhi, I know, has been practicing some Azir, so we'll see if he's going to be able to bring that one out. Though it is a flex pick. Azir can be played in the top lane, though to not as much success.
I would say even against the Gnar, it's still a challenging situation. I mean, Gnar is just so valuable right now. If you're able to control his Rage Gene, you're able to do so much with him. And now Karthus is being hovered. I don't think, Nintendo's not going to go the jungle Karthus route. It's a little bit of an homage to Saint maybe. But he has been favoring the Elise, especially when a lot of other junglers are banned away. Wouldn't be that surprised if he goes that. And he was sort of the pioneer of that AP Elise back in the day as well.
Yeah, he was one of the first junglers to actually play Elise in North America in a competitive setting. Back when players didn't really realize Elise's strengths, back after she got nerfed when she first came into the scene as a top laner. But he actually switches it up at the last second. Looks like he is going to go with the Pantheon. So going for a little bit more of an aggressive early game jungler instead of the Elise, who can be aggressive but usually focuses more on control in the early game. Now, I'm curious to see what Storm is going to respond with this. ManCloud actually played Syndra in the round of 16, and it was scary. Very, very scary. It was one of the best performances of Syndra I've seen from the challenger scene in a long time. So I actually wouldn't be surprised if they do go for that pickup, since it is left open on the table. He just has to be confident in his matchup with Azir, which is the only thing that he has to get over. But it looks like they are going to save that for the last pick, which could be a smart choice. They'll get to counter pick whatever they choose.
And Doom Trobo goes for the Viagit. This has been his go-to champion. We don't really know the depths of his champion pool quite so well.
Yeah.
But I'm actually very, very, very surprised he opts for that, unless it's just something that's a bit of a crutch for him. In this case, they already have a reasonable tank in Gnar. If they really need another one, then that's not a terrible choice. Vi is still solidly one of those second-tier jungle pickups, but it's really, really odd to try to fit it into this kite and disengage comp, with the exception of Gnar, of course.
Yeah. Now, Doom Trobo, I mentioned earlier, he struggled a little bit in the round of 16. Playing Vi, he actually got caught out of position quite a bit. Now, I'm not sure if he was just having a bad day. One best of 3 can't really be an indicator of a player's relative strength at a certain time. But it's, I mean, it really might play a factor into how he plays today, and I'm really looking for him, again, like I said, to prove himself. And this would be a big pickup, taking the Syndra away from ManCloud, punishing them for trying to counterpick us the last pick would be a big deal.
Not only that, we mentioned before, Chunky Fresh started as a mid laner. This is going to be a little more comfortable for him if he goes either of these choices. Most likely the Azir, but this is something that's a little more up his alley, and is a little bit one-dimensional in that they don't have a dedicated tank. They have a lot of peel, though, from Nintendo. They have some disengage from Nami, and the Mordekaiser hover, please. No, it's not going to happen, but yeah, it limits ManCloud's choices in this case, and I wonder what he's going to go for.
There's still a lot available right now, and
they could send Corki mid and take another AD carry.
Yeah,
be a little bit weird though.
A lot of mid laners have actually been practicing Ezreal as a mid lane champion, to varying degrees of success. But if you look at the ranked 5's match history for a lot of these teams that are competing today, most of those mid laners have been at least trying it out. LeBlanc would be a decent pickup.
It's very much a skill matchup against the Syndra, though.
Oh yeah, and Syndra, I think, actually is really strong against LeBlanc because you can push her out early and you can punish her if she doesn't get a full damage combo off early on. Now, it can be a little bit dangerous, but you can at least get like trade kills post level 6 if you can react to the amount of damage that she can put out. But definitely like this pickup by Mandatory Cloud. He's one of the best Syndra players in the challenger scene right now. So not only will he know how to play against it, but he'll be able to sort of pick apart the strengths and weaknesses of that lane moving forward into this game.
Yeah, and on the other side, Fusion has a fairly strong kiting composition if they want. They have Azir, they have Caitlyn, who's going to be pretty strong later on in the game. They have Nami to try to beat the disengage. And of course, expect Nintendo to just be all over the map. As soon as the man drop is leveled, he'll be able to take full advantage of that. Definitely knows exactly what he's doing on that particular champion. I think this is a strong composition from both teams, but again, the first game, it seems today has always been a little bit off for each team. Maybe this is going to be different.
Yeah, it seems like teams are taking a little bit to warm up, and we'll have to see if this is going to be the same case for these guys couple of champions on Fusion take a long time to ramp up, the Caitlyn, the Azir. But their siege composition later in the game is going to be fantastic with Syndra, Azir, and Caitlyn. And we'll have to see if there's going to be a good defense from Storm. But we all are jumping into this match right now. And I think this is one of the matches that a lot of players wanted to watch. Seeing how Fusion is going to perform, they actually built up a pretty large fan base during the expansion tournament. They did lose Macnoon, and of course they did lose Glebe, but I'm not sure how much that affects their fan base in general, but still people love to watch these guys. On the other hand, Storm, up-and-comers, Mandatory Cloud has a little bit of a following, but overall these guys are pretty new, some unknown names, and definitely want to prove themselves.
Yeah, a little bit of a catch-out onto Doom Trobo once again. To start this one off, Nintendo just throwing spears in his general direction, but Lorelo is there for the save. Chunky Fresh now has joined this one. They don't really want to get too far in. They will throw the deep ward out and bail out of the situation. Fusion, definitely the team that loves to take those early invades if they can know they can grab something off of it. And up until Curse Academy, there really wasn't anyone who was reacting to it well.
Minions have spawned.
Yeah, this is true. And pretty slow level ones. You can see both teams are just really trying to gain control and try and spot out where the enemy jungler is going to start. Now, one thing here is these junglers have a little bit different scaling, and I'm sort of worried for Nintendo here. If he doesn't make moves early on, they might find themselves in a trap where they have a jungler who relies on getting ahead early, but laners who rely on ramping up a bit. He's sort of pigeonholed into really focusing a lot on getting Huhi ahead in the mid lane, because otherwise it's just not many gank opportunities with Azir, not many gank opportunities. Oh, Chunky Fresh is actually falling pretty low.
Yeah, they are in a little bit of a dangerous spot right here, and this is a bit of a late blue buff as well, so it's going to go eventually over to Doom Trobo, but they're kind of taking their time about it.
Such a weird level 1.
Yeah, it was really delayed in a lot of ways. Not really sure why. The mind games have been kind of not very effective in all the series we've seen today, so maybe it is best that the teams take a little bit more of a normal start. But the lane swap, we do get to see a lane swap finally. So Xpeke and Baby Eater go up to the top lane. Of course, that means Chunky Fresh is going to take his time before he makes his way to his lane, and they might just swap out anyways. I mean, that's going to be a rough lane for Azir.
Yeah, Azir can farm from pretty far away, actually, but he doesn't do well without much farm under his belt. He's pretty susceptible to just being shut down. Now, a big thing here, though, is that they go ahead and avoid the Caitlyn lane, which can be a little suffocating at times, but these guys are rotating all the way across the map. They're going to leave the AD carries alone here, and they're just going to send the supports up with the top laners. And this seems to be generally the go-to strategy for some of these teams. Yep, especially in Korea, you see that a lot.
You do, actually, and it's nice to see that kind of affecting. Oh, buddy! Xpeke is able to Valk his way away. Doom Trobo, what are you doing so low to red buff? Living dangerously. At least he's not being punished for it. Meanwhile, Lorelo getting some help in the form of Baby Eater down in the bot lane to deal with Yen. Xpeke can't really get back to his tower right now. This is very much a wave denial, and I think that's a really good way to deal with it, Cork. You look at how that should start affecting the CS. Right now it looks about the same. Meanwhile, in the mid, woo, ManCloud and Huhi going at each other, but Summoners burn left and right. Huhi very low, ManCloud still a little bit more alive. There we go, nice bubble on him. He's going to be able to stay alive for now, but the tables are turning very back and forth here, and this matchup's going to get really explosive really fast.
Yes, it is, and I mean, you said earlier it's a skill matchup, and that can't be more true, because these two mid laners are probably some of the two hardest mid laners to play at a competitive level very effectively. So it was a really close call there. I think Huhi and Mandatory Cloud are two of the stronger mid laners right now in the challenger scene. I know a lot of people have criticized ManCloud in the past and say he'll never be as good as he was when he was on the XDG or Vulcan when they had their run to Worlds, but I think he's still got a lot of gas left in the tank.
I'll give you that one for sure. Now, it just look at this. It's Storm. They're making what look like the right moves in some situations. Doom Trobo goes in a little bit far on that one, but they're not getting anything for it, and they overstay their welcome. It just kind of screams lack of discipline there, and that's the kind of thing that Fusion should really be able to punish easily.
See if they are going to be able to do that, but right now it's a pretty slow game. Neither team seems to be coming out on top of this lane swap. It seemed like Xpeke was falling a little bit behind early because he was forced off his turret, but he hasn't really suffered much. Things are back to normal now. They have a general top lane up here. And the one thing you got to notice, though, is who's going to come out on top of this bottom lane matchup between Caitlyn and Gnar? Which team wants their solo laner in that situation to be ahead more? Caitlyn's not going to provide much as effect, but the investment that they're putting into Caitlyn by giving Nian a solo lane and allowing him to pretty much free farm in that matchup, how much is that going to pay off for them in the long run compared to Lorlo being able to have as much farming? Caitlyn might even have a little bit of trouble.
Yeah,
he's about to transform here.
Comes on up. Oh, he actually dodges away from the cupcake trap, and he might actually get this one, without even going Mega Gnar. There we go! And that's first blood right off the transformation. I guess that answers your question.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of teams ban out Gnar, because he's so hard to deal with, not only in a solo lane against other top laners, but even if you find yourself in a situation where you're a ranged champion, Caitlyn, who has one of the longest ranges of AD carries in the laning phase, and you get 1v1 killed, that's not a good sign, because not only is this giving a big lead to Lorlo compared to Chunky Fresh up top lane, who's having to share experience, but it's also giving Xpeke some time to sort of catch up and farm and experience to Nian, who it seemed like Fusion really wanted to focus a lot of farm on. And that's just not a good thing for them. Oh, VanCloud's fighting in a creep wave. Realizes it's not a good idea, but...
And he gets out and does a better trade on Huhi. I mean, so far Storm have managed to get the better of their opponents just to start this one off. It's still a very, very minimal lead there, but, you know, all snowballs start out very tiny and then start building up, rolling downhill. VanCloud, though, has to be careful. Dodging in, and Huhi coming up with the outplay, but may not celebrate for long. Baby Eater and Doom Trobo to follow up Howling Gale, and they take him down. Doom Trobo packing some much-needed gold into his pocket.
And so overall, I think Fusion comes out on top of that one, just because getting the kill over onto Huhi is going to be a pretty big deal, especially in that matchup, where even just the slightest amount of gold can make the difference. Whoever gets that first item before their opponent is really going to have a huge advantage in that lane. Doesn't seem to be too big of an advantage right now. Nintendo X, though, still struggling to find opportunities in this matchup. And I said it earlier, there could be a spot in this game where Fusion just is getting outscaled at the jungle position because Nintendo has trouble finding early ganks with a team that just doesn't have many early strengths. And with Nian getting early 1v1 killed by Lorlu, Nintendo's just having to resign to trying to farm up his jungle, which he's not going to be nearly as fast as Doom Trobo, or picking up farm in lanes where there's nobody there. So it's not something that's going to be beneficial for them. And I can already see things going sour.
Yeah, it's getting to be a little bit of a rough situation there for sure. Doom Trobo, though, has so far had a much better game than we've seen in the past, and that was really Storm's big weakness. That was really their big issue, was just how far behind he was getting, how far caught he was getting. And speaking of caught, Baby Eater does take a lot of damage after being bubbled up there. Sensing a moment of weakness, Nian Tanso was able to put some damage out. Here comes Doom Trobo down in the mid lane. He's going to find Huhi. Assault and Battery on Mandatory. Cloud is going to help him out, and they'll come up with yet another kill. Huhi is not having a great time this game so far.
And this is just a clear potential from Doom Trobo. Nintendo X has to go with the Ranger's Trailblazer, just try and increase his clear speed, because otherwise he's going to fall really far behind. Look at that creep score difference. That's about double the CS for Doom Trobo, and Nintendo X even had a little bit of lane time as well. And since he had to resort to the lane farm, pause that.
Yep, Chunky Fresh, Emperor's Divide, good timing. He's not going to go Mega Gnar just yet, but he has to get out. Chunky just doesn't have the damage, and Lorlo is very tanky on that Gnar. I mean, this is what happens when you start Giant's Belt.
Yeah, he's really tough to take down. And the CS is about even, but I can see this lane going into Lorlo's favor very, very quickly. And we actually didn't mention it, but while Nintendo Dex was actually covering and then having to go hand off his blue buff, Doom Turbo actually stole his red. And so right now, both buffs are on to Doom Turbo from the other side, which again is just putting Nintendo Dex further and further behind. And bottom lane is going a little bit more into Fusion's favor. But that's just about the only lane where they're having much success right now.
And they're definitely going to need it right now. And the laning phase really should be where Caitlyn starts to shine. But that mid game is going to start taking a turn. The worse, the longer they let this game go on like this. And again, neither team really looking at the Dragon. We kind of saw that was trending a lot more when the Dragon was just changed. And now everyone's kind of putting it off for a little while. And no exceptions here with Fusion and Storm. In this game, they much prefer to elongate the laning phase and try to take their advantages through kills. Uh-oh, Nintendo Dex, how much damage can he tank?
Wow.
Doom Trobo just finds him, and and he fails to flash. Oh no, Doom Trobo coming up with a big kill. Unleash the power on ManCloud will be enough to net Huhi a kill, but he also doesn't clear the wall way too early, and Doom Trobo picks up a 4th kill.
And once again, teams seem to be taking a little bit of time to sort of get used to it.
Lorlo.
That's 3 failed flashes combined from these two teams in a span of 20 seconds.
Everybody's doing it, man.
Did walls get bigger overnight? Did I miss patch notes where these walls got bigger? Man.
I'm just aghast.
Flabbergasted.
Really, I was very
Taken
surprised.
aback.
Oh, we got 1, 2, and then Lorlo just, I feel like he just did it because everyone was doing it.
Yeah, he just did it to be cool.
He didn't have to do it in any situation.
He's a conformist.
Yeah.
He
plays Gnar, man. Everybody plays Gnar.
Don't do that, Lorlo. He's a young guy. He's very impressionable.
Very impressionable. He is going to get some free push on this tower for just a second. Chunky has had a real hard time dealing with that boomerang, and he really has shown a pretty solid mastery of the transformations on Gnar, and this is why Gnar, he's not avoiding a single boomerang.
Chunky's just like, give me a break right now. He comes back to lane, gets like three CS, and now he has to back again.
It's not looking good for Fusion's laners right now.
No, that's just really rough.
I mean, everybody but the bottom lane is having a really hard time, and post-laning phase, I mean, that's a trade Storm is perfectly happy to take. Oh, we'll lose bot, we'll win every other lane, and then we'll just start shutting you down. And Nintendo Dex has been completely MIA. We haven't seen a single man drop. And it's just, it seems like they're struggling to find even an identity right now. Tower's taken down in the top side. Warding coming out here to try and stop any potential dragons, but Scuttle Crab control looks like it might fall over to Storm in just a moment. Could see a fight over this Drake. It's a bit late for it, but as we mentioned, that's kind of been the trend lately.
The Scuttle Crab genocide continues from League of Legends players everywhere.
Unabated.
You gotta feel bad for those little guys.
Oh yeah, they can't even attack.
Yeah.
Dragon levels up there. Waiting for the time they can start it up. And actually, they're in a pretty good position if they really want to just force a reaction out of Fusion here. But they don't know where Nintendo X is, and they're trying to make sure he can't get the jump on them, literally.
And we haven't really seen a man drop from Nintendo Dex only because he hasn't really been level 6 for that long.
Whoa! Niantanso is gone. Doom Trobo again will pick one up. Chilling Smite down on Trance Therapy. And they do manage to pick up, well, it's an Azir turret. Lorlo grabs that one, so the tower scores are lying to you folks. Don't believe them. It's going to be the start of the Dragon here for Storm. 6-2 is the score line, but Storm is in the lead. Fusion is in trouble, and they've yet to really grab anything for themselves this game. First Dragon going over to Storm.
This is the biggest lead we've seen from any team this early on, and it seems like Storm just has a really good hold. Not only do they have that 3,000 gold lead, but they also have that first Dragon buff, which is worth probably close to 2,000 gold just worth of stats right now because of that percentage-based AP and AD, which is only going to scale more as this game goes on. So first Dragon is a fantastic investment now. It's a little bit tougher to take, but since they just have so many advantages across this map, Doom Trobo has made me eat my words in this game. This is a night and day difference between the Doom Trobo that we saw in the round of 16. I mean, they still managed to find victories and find themselves in the round of 8, but this guy he's He's out for blood.
Well, and up against a team like Fusion, too, makes it all the more impressive that they've been able to do this. So it's a really big power move from Storm, and if they can keep this momentum swinging their way, they may just be able to find themselves on the better side of this best-of-3 series. So no Dragon, of course. That's what Trance Therapy is finding out. They had to know that one was going down, but they will clear out some wards. Now, Trance actually hasn't been doing too bad a job, but unfortunately, he's been unable to save his carry for a couple times now. And as much as we praise the bot lane for being the positive side of Fusion right here, that's an 0-2 Caitlyn. And, 28 farm up is not really going to make that any better.
And there's a mismatch with Power Spike as well, where Xpectcake, once he finishes the Trinity Force, their graph of how they scale into a game is like opposite. Whereas Caitlyn starts off strong, gets weak in the mid game, and then has a really strong late game. Corki starts off a little bit weaker, gets really strong in the mid game, and then tapers off towards a little bit weaker towards the later game compared to like late game AD carries like Caitlyn or Tristana. So once we get to this mid game, now that Storm already has a lead. Well, I don't even know what happened to my voice there.
You were just surprised by Doom Trovo doing so well, and oh no, Nien Tanso! Down he goes, there's the man drop we were looking for, but it's a little bit late, and Xpectcake just absolutely annihilates him, and a double kill goes over to ManCloud as they had everyone brought to the party, but they forgot to invite Chunky Fresh. That's going to be a tower for Storm for sure, and Huhi was left out in the cold as well in all of that.
Yeah, so just like that, 3 kills picked up, an explosive start, and I think Storm could just run away with this game because those 2 scalers on Fusion right now just are having such a tough time finding spots on this map to really get going. And if they just keep focusing on the end down the bottom lane, Corki's going to hit that power spike, like I said, way before Caitlyn, if Caitlyn can ever do it.
Doom Trovo, there was the positioning error. Had to burn his flash, but he did get an Ignite out of Huhi for it. Now Baby Eater on the chase with Doom Trovo. They're looking for the catch. They don't find the Howling Gale connection. Doom Trovo is actually very low, but Lorelo is making moves around the side. ManCloud wants some blood here, and he's not going to be able to find it. However, Lorelo is going to try and keep this fight on Big Gnar, but it only lands on Huhi, and Mandatory Cloud will take that kill. They look for Trance Therapy now. Fusion in a whole world of hurt. A double kill from ManCloud. He's starting to ramp himself up, and they can just go back and safely push the waves.
And when it rains, it pours.
And it still continues. Chunky Fresh, he's in trouble again. ManCloud soloing, doesn't have enough damage because Nintendo X was there, and Doom Trovo helps bail him out of danger. Between those two, there's 9 kills in this game for them. 1 kill for the carry and 1 kill for the Gnar on top of it, but they've done so well at just making sure Fusion has as hard a time as possible getting anything. Tower is taken down there finally, but all the same, it just seems like they've lost so much.
And Fusion is having a lot of trouble here. Now they're doing the best in a poor situation. They're getting caught out, maybe a little bit out of position, but they're really taking advantage of Storm sticking around a little bit too long. You could tell they just took 3 towers across the map there. They actually have a tower lead right now because there's still 1 first-tier turret left remaining. Of course, with Azir turrets still counting towards turret counts, that is a lie. Do not trust the spectator client right now.
It is definitely lying to you. There's only 2 towers that were taken. Still 1 in the middle.
Yeah, so
Storm's not trusting that.
Yeah, and
neither should you.
So they're getting objectives where they can, but at this stage it's going to be harder because there's no way unless Storm makes some big mistakes moving forward to the next couple minutes.
Yeah, they always have the potential to fall to pieces, and that that's definitely more of a norm when it comes to less organized teams. But as we mentioned, there are some LCS caliber players on this lineup that have been in there already. ManCloud is proving more than capable in this game, and Baby Eater showcasing great positioning, picks up that Medjay Soul Stealer, and he's able to stack that one up without losing anything from getting any deaths so far. Another tower gets taken by Storm. That will be their 3rd. And they've now opened up the map pretty wide. Ooh, nice block. Doom Trovo intercepting the ace in the hole for Mandatory Cloud. 25 seconds on this next Dragon. And if Storm picks this one up, this will be their 2nd to the none. Fusion.
Storm starting to run away with this game. Now, You would think that they would be further ahead right now. It's 11 kills to 2. And 3 turrets to 3 right now. And they have a decent lead. It's about 4,500. But they have to turn this into something quicker than not, because of the fact that they might get outscaled as this game goes on.
It's a bit of a strange timing window, though, if they want to go for it. Speaking of strange timings, that tidal wave coming in just a little bit too late. Doom Trobo doesn't feel like going surfing today, so he dodges that one out. And speaking of Doom Trobo, he really has been. It's not just his positioning. Yes, he got fed, of course. We can talk about how a fed Vi is always going to be a lot better than one that's not quite doing that. But he's still playing the mostly tanky bruiser game, and he's doing it incredibly well, forcing the focus onto himself.
And on the other side, it feels like Nintendo just hasn't even existed for most of this game. He couldn't find anything early. I mentioned in Champion Select even that they might have trouble with such an early game focused jungler and lanes that require a lot of ramp up that might get pushed away or pushed out of lane.
Yeah,
it could have been rough.
It's been a little bit of a rough game for Nintendo so far. Maybe he'll be able to pick this one up for a little bit. He does take that. We didn't mention he took the Trailblazer, of course, to catch back up a little while ago, and he's kind of needed the Chilling Smite, but he hasn't been able to do that, of course. So it makes his ganks a little bit less effective. He can still make big plays, but they have to coordinate a little bit better. Storm, it just seems like they're the ones who are playing more like a team, and Fusion are playing a little bit all over the place. And this could be new roster jitters, to be honest. Chunky hasn't looked as comfortable in that top lane. Admittedly, he's been playing a safe game all around, but also adding trance therapy. A little bit different right now.
Ace in the Hole comes out just as a little bit of a deterrent there. But yeah, Chunky Fresh, definitely unproven. Now, he's proved to be versatile, starting from the mid lane, subbing in as support, and actually playing pretty impressively for not having much practice, especially with the team. But if you look at the ranked 5 matches of Fusion recently, it seems Chunky Fresh is struggling a little bit from the top lane and might be having a little bit of trouble adjusting to this role. He's a very hard worker. You can tell that he practices a lot when he's in a crunch time situation where he has to learn a new role. But it can always be hard going up against players who have potentially years of top lane experience, and you're new to the role. So,
well, Lorlo's pretty young himself, but he definitely is a very comfortable player on this Gnar. And 1-0-4, definitely not a score to sneeze at. Gone pure tank. He hasn't even gone for any offensive items this entire game, and it's worked out so well for him. He's still managed to find himself on the winning side, and he's gone pretty much full armor after this Spirit Visage. Woo, Nien nearly picks off. Oh, and he lives, finally. Whoa, okay, ManCloud goes down. Nice shutdown going over to Huhi. I mean, that was just a really weird fight for a second. Chunky Fresh taken pretty low himself, but they did need that kill. Now, Doom Trobo, they could catch him. There we go, Unleash Power, and he finally gets shut down. The mistakes start showing the cracks in this Storm team. And it's 2 kills going over to Fusion that were sorely needed to get back into this. Can Nintendo stay alive for this one? Big Gnar, no! Lorlo finds something there. Trance Therapy taken almost down to 0. But he will be able to get out. This is so dangerous for both teams right now. The supports are blinking red. And they might just back off and go farm just a little bit.
Yeah, Nien is trying to do a lot with a little right now, and he had a really rough start. He got 1v1 killed in lane by Lorlo. He got ganked twice in a row by Doom Trobo, and even through that, he still managed to keep about a 30 CS lead on average over the last 10 minutes over Xpeke. So definitely a pretty impressive performance by him despite the 0-3 score. And Huhi as well, he's staying in lane, keeping up with farm, actually 40 CS ahead of Mandatory Cloud in this game while still managing to find some kills on the roam. So almost single-handedly keeping his team in the game at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely the bright spot there. 4-4, not the greatest scoreline in and of itself, but he's got all the kills of his team's side, and they absolutely need every single one of them. Fusion has to come up with an answer here. They're just trying to find a way back into this game that, how did it get out of control so quickly? Storm is running away with it, as you said, and they have been.
I said, though, they still have to try and make moves in this mid-game when they have this power spike rolling right now. Once Nien starts to get towards 3 items, 4 items, he could be potentially more effective than Xpeke in these fights if they get not the greatest engagement. Oh, dude, Trovo gets caught by the
he's going to go right back on in. There we go. Might have gone a little too far forward, shutting him down. 5-2 is now his scoreline, and Chunky Fresh says, thank you, I'll take a kill.
I don't know if that was miscommunication or if his team just didn't listen to him when he said he was going in.
It's not the first time we've seen it today, regardless, and that was just a little bit overzealous. If Storm keeps making mistakes like that, Fusion can find themselves back into this game, and they are perfectly happy. Grab a little bit more of their own jungle back and feeling at least a little bit more confident now that they've got themselves a couple more kills and a little bit more gold. But Storm, really, really strange that they would just do that.
Doom Trouble ulted and he goes, let's go! And his team just said,
nah, man.
Yeah, good luck with that. And just abandoned him completely.
I mean, we talked about the communication errors that commonly plague newer teams, and Fusion has that infrastructure behind them to avoid those types of things, but up until now, they seem to have been not actually looking that way. It seemed like the tables had been turned, but you know, these rookie mistakes can be made by teams like Storm that don't quite have that infrastructure more commonly. They are looking to set up some bait here over by the Dragon Brush, and this is a dragon that Fusion needs to deny at the very least. Giving up this third one would be a massive mistake, but they just can't get in here. There's way too much defense, a big front line. Dragon's already down to half health. Can they maybe steal it away? They're going to have to try. It's going down, and that's smited away by Doom Trovo. 3 dragons now for Storm. They get that movement speed boost, and this is going to be trouble for Fusion unless they can take the perfect fight. But Storm is just looking like the perfect Storm right now. ManCloud looking to find Chunky Fresh, bailing out of the jungle as he realizes no one was standing behind him there. Storm leading the charge, looking for a little bit more. Trance Therapy might be caught in the terrain. Here we go. They find Nien by himself.
Transformation.
Xpeke, and Lorlo gets Mega Gnar form. They have 1 for none so far, but they'll back off and not want to push this one too far, fearing the second wind of Fusion.
So a 1 for 0 trade in that situation. But the big thing here is the third dragon. Now, with the exception of Nintendo, Fusion does have pretty good scaling as this game is going to progress. But they can't let it get out of control, and being down 3 dragons to 0 is actually a pretty big deal. Because not only do the enemy have so many stats, at this point with the first tier turrets down, that movement speed gives you a huge boost, and it's actually pretty early in the game for a third dragon to be taken on average. They're getting close to that 4th and 5th. If they get to a point where they're taking the 4th or 5th dragon buff at the same time that they're able to go for a Baron, sometimes teams can just end the game from there, and we've seen it happen so many times today, and a lot of the times later on. But this is the biggest lead we've seen, I think, all day, and it's not even that big. 5K gold.
Yeah, it's definitely telling when the team that clearly came in this as the underdogs, no expectations on them really whatsoever outside of ManCloud, and they've been able to do this much. A big credit to that, though, is Doom Trovo this game. He's been stepping up, mistakes aside, because he has made a few of them in the last 10 minutes or so, but he has really just made a name for himself on this Vi that we've only really seen him on. We have no idea what else is even in his champion pool compared to all of that. And if they end up winning this game, if Storm wins this game, you got to start looking at maybe banning that away and forcing him onto something else, but that also is a win for Storm.
He focused a lot of bans onto the jungle already. So having to worry about Vi as well could be tough. I think Fusion maybe focused too much on trying to pick up the Azir while also holding on to the Syndra. Their team comp seems a little bit disjointed right now, where I talked about it earlier, where they have different goals with a very early focused jungler, but doesn't really do much for the team outside of just his early presence. And no early presence from Nintendo means that he hasn't been doing as much in this game as, say, Doom Trovo, who has been a catalyst in the lead right now.
Oh, Baby Eater needed to spend his Monsoon to get out of that one. Yeah, it is a very strange situation all across the map. And I think both teams are kind of surprised that they're in it. Like, Storm is just sitting there like, we're ahead. And they're not really doing that much with it right now. but trying to get the picks. They do have a serious tower edge, and that's something that I will definitely give them credit for, but they haven't taken much lately. They're kind of just trying to wait out these dragons.
The tower edge is a lie. Well, it's not a lie.
Some of it is a lie.
Yeah, they still
but
have.
They do have a tower lead.
Yeah.
It's just not as big as it looks. It's only a 2-tower lead, not a 4-tower.
And that advantage from having Azir turrets that sort of stop a lot of your momentum. Oh, Doom Trouble looks like he wants to go
There
in.
we go.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
ManCloud
God.
just absolutely evaporating Huhi, but he goes down thanks to the efforts of Nien Tanso, both mid laners in a blaze of glory, but now the focus is back to that mid lane.
It was just like an explosion. They both just ran into each other and then died.
Yeah, speaking of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, a Zingy Ball Z coming
That's where you sit and wait in a brush until you get the perfect gank.
Yeah, it was also the name for our
Terrible.
indecisive
play.
challenger scene player musical. A Zingy Ball Z coming to a Broadway theater near you.
That's like the worst storyline we could have gone back to.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
It's a long day. We gotta.
We have to pace ourselves.
We have to
as
find
MMO.
entertainment somewhere.
Yeah. Not there, though.
Not there.
Trance Therapy and Nien are able to clear out a little bit of vision towards this dragon. Again, this is still a rough game to start off for Fusion. They still have a chance to come back into this one, especially if Storm continues to make some mistakes. But, you know, if they're on the short end of the stick, if they fall out in the round of 8, they only get that $1,000 prize money. What does that do to the reputation of this team that almost made it into the LCS in the expansion tournament? It's a massive hit, at least to your ego, and then, of course, at that point, you start second-guessing yourself. It can be really rough. I just hope the tilt factor doesn't start to play into that, and at this point, they have to start playing a little bit more conservatively, but they're about to give up a 4th dragon if they don't get out here, and it'd be unanswered.
Yeah, well, Storm, if you're going to lose to a team, I think Storm is a pretty respected team to lose to. They had a lot of hype surrounding them during the team's announcement. They had a pretty good run to the NACL in early December, beating out teams like Final Five, who were arguably at their peak right about then. And Fusion is still on a learning process right now with their new roster, and they are guaranteed a spot in the North American Challenger Series because of their success in the expansion tournament. So they do have some time to work on things. But we'll have to see. I mean, they could just be getting started and just be getting ramped up in the series. Oh, Huhi lands it!
Oh, speaking of ramping up Huhi, but Doom
Hexdrinker.
Trovo comes
What?
right on in. Flax is right on around. Doom Trovo getting blown up by Nintendo Dex, but he may not be long for this one. ManCloud absolutely coming up on fire, and so is Xpeke. Staying alive. Nope, he's not anymore. That's Chunky Fresh with a double kill. Looking for ManCloud, looking for more. Yeah, I don't care which clone is which and which one is real. I can take them both, and we might just see the ace here. Lorlo running scared with the tiniest of health bars, but he's going to the wrong base.
Uh-oh. the Nami versus the Gnar.
An
I don't know if he's
auto-attack
going to be able
would
to
do
catch
it.
him. He might just get executed here, but either way,
He's gonna go for the execute.
that's an
Oof.
ace for Fusion. All of a sudden being down. Oh, nice.
That is a sad Gnar.
Nice zoom in there.
Yeah. Oh, Fusion will get a much-needed dragon. This is a massive breath of fresh air for them. They took an amazing fight, and huge credit to Chunky Fresh. Deserved every single one of those kills, and he was able to pick off everybody with his soldiers.
Yeah.
Great positioning.
As soon as I criticize someone on any team, all of a sudden they turn around and just...
It's a caster curse, man.
And just
it's gonna happen
own.
all day.
I thought you had the caster curse.
You have been
Not me.
around me way too long.
Doom Trovo.
What is he doing?
I don't even know right now.
Guys, let's Baron.
They're going to try
Oh.
and potentially sneak a Baron.
Is this
but
how you desperation Baron when you're...
It's-
well, I mean, they'll never expect it. I will give him that. But they are going to check.
Unless they face check into this one, but they actually do start it up. Doom Trovo, he's at a quarter health right now. This is a bad idea.
Yeah, that was a really, really questionable decision, and Xpeke took far too much damage. They have to bail out of this one, and it just gives free map control over to Fusion. I mean, really big mistake to think that you can sneak away a Baron even at 34 minutes into the game. You're not that far ahead anymore. The gold gap is actually closed significantly.
Hey guys, you want to go for a...
No more musicals, Azuma, please.
want to go for a Baron?
I can't take it anymore.
The bane of the indecisive challenger player. To write a blog. Just start a blog. Or a Twitter account.
Nintendo laughs at your blog.
Yeah, Nintendo laughs at everything.
true. He is the dude.
Well, right now, a Storm probably suffering from a lack of confidence after how the last 2 fights have gone.
Well, when you've been so far ahead, almost incredibly ahead, against an opponent you would expect to not be, and then that happens a couple of times, you keep making mistakes. Their mistakes have actually gotten exponentially worse over time here, and it seems like they're kind of having an identity crisis. Where are we? Where is our scaling? What do we do anymore? And I think that really confused Baron call was sort of the end result of that. Now, ManCloud, hopefully he can keep a cool head and lead his team on this way, but they have to find something. And Fusion, very revitalized by their position in this game now, is going to shove down mid. And not really worry about Lorelo splitting in the bottom. The Azir turret is up. They've got a small minion wave, but they're able to peck away at this tower for the time being.
Well, this is a pretty good position for Fusion, but at the same time, you have to remember there is a Gnar on the enemy team. And Gnar is one of those champions, like in a similar vein to like Orianna, where one good ultimate can completely change the outcome of a fight. And a good Gnar initiation is really scary, and it's one of the reasons why he's permabanned in a lot of regions, or in a lot of games in a lot of regions, is because just his game-changing potential in team fights. And actually, Lorelu is all by himself down in the bottom lane. Chunky Fresh is going to go to answer.
Yeah, they should be able to stop that one. Both solo laners there have their teleport available. Now Nintendo is going to get popped up by the Howling Gale. Doom Trobo, yep, thought about going in on it. No, I have learned from my mistakes, and I will not always dive headlong into danger. But ManCloud just might. He's okay, though.
Yeah, LeBlanc gets a little bit easier, because when you go in, you can come back out. Doom Trobo, once he's in, he's in. That's it.
Yeah, there's really only one direction that Vi can go, and that's wherever you point your Vault Breaker. He's going to try to point it right now. Nintendo does actually miss, but Assault and Battery, they'll find Nintendo, and they just blow him up. Doom Trobo getting himself another kill, but Nien actually nearly takes down the Vi. Lorelo teleporting in Mega Gnar form. They may attempt the Baron now. It's still very dangerous, but they know that they don't really have anybody to fear in the area, and here they go. They're on this ward right now. It's not quite expired yet. This is going to prompt a hasty reaction from Fusion. Teleporting on. Chunky Fresh, he's going to make his move in here, and how's this one going to end? I don't know. He actually is just going to move outside the pit, and as low as they are, Storm are in a bad spot, but so is Nien. ManCloud finds him isolated, and they pick him off. Lorelo still frontlining this. Oh, and the Monsoon from Baby Eater. They're going to be able to sustain this fight up. Nintendo's going to come back up. He's got Mandrop available, but this is still horrible right now for Fusion. They have to find a way to get out of here. Chunky Fresh, oh, ManCloud nearly getting the assassination off, the instant exhaust, but how long can they keep this up? Fusion is in dire straits right now, and they have to back away, losing a couple of members in that exchange.
That was a beautiful Emperor's Divide, though. Probably saved a couple members' lives.
Oh,
Nintendo!
And he comes right back.
Hello!
Finds ManCloud and takes him down. No Baron, boys. Not just yet. You won't get it that easily.
And Lorelu's very angry that he hit that trap.
Where did that helicopter even come from?
I don't even know. From space. From Summoner's Rift space. From
was trying to cover the action and he just swatted it away.
Yeah. Well, Fusion keeping themselves alive. That fight did not go their way, but they were able to pick up a couple cleanup kills. Emperor's Divide coming out from Chunky Fresh completely stopped Fusion's momentum. Or sorry, Storm's momentum in its tracks. And they saved the Baron, which is a pretty big deal. You look at the gold lead right now, it's only about 2K in favor of Storm. Now they are up 3 dragons to 1. And dragon spawns in 20 minutes, so, or sorry, 20 minutes.
That would be a long
we're in for a long day, boys. Dragon's up in 20 minutes.
That was that's indecisive challenger player's dad.
Coming to a Broadway theater.
He'll be the viewer.
Who would play the role of indecisive challenger player's dad?
Probably our lovely observer.
No. I'm looking for someone else.
All right, we'll have a casting call later on.
Lemon Nation.
There you go. He's got the beard for it. Yeah. Storm now can't really get involved in this. Whoa, Lorelo actually ignited, burning away. He's not in the Monsoon just yet. Oh, and he gets saved there, but ManCloud is going to pick off Huhi. And now Emperor's Divide Chunky. He's way too low, isolated back from the pack. However, it's going to be Nien who gets himself a double kill off the back of this one. Lorlo, Revitalize coming back in, trying to find Nintendo Dex. They might have the burst to take him down, but he flashes away. Shut down onto Chunky Fresh. The very messy fight is going to end in a 3-for-2. Storm not coming up ahead, but only if Nintendo can get away. He actually can't back. Flashing forward, Baby Eater, and that's Nien going to come up with it. They get Xpeke, and they get a turret thanks to minions, and now they're going to maybe try for this dragon. Nien Tanso, with the amazing positioning, is going to give his team the edge.
Amazing positioning, but I think that was the dude coming up big there. But yeah, this is just that late game scaling. Nien hurts now. And you look at the CS, he's about 60 CS ahead. Across the board, they're just out farming Storm at this stage in the game, and they're really playing towards their strengths later on. And Chunky has been doing work in these fights. I mean, he had a little bit of a rough time, but he did a bunch of consistent damage, stayed alive as long as he could. And Storm is having a lot of trouble finding good engagements. Doom Turbo hasn't been able to get a great assault and battery on. They've been able to pick off a single target, but then either Huhi or Chunky or Nien are able to pick up a couple cleanup kills on the backside of the fight, and they just can't solidify their lead. And Fusion, for the past 20 minutes, have just been clawing their way back. They've decreased the gold lead by 1,000, by 2,000, and now we're back within 1,000 gold for these two teams. And with Fusion picking up their second dragon, making it 3-2, still in favor of Storm, that's still a lot closer, and they're well on their way to putting up a fight and maybe even winning this game.
Yeah, Fusion has really started to have some life breathed into them. That gold gap has closed significantly, and even though the towers still look very uneven, don't be fooled, that's of course just the Azir turret.
How many turrets can we get in this game?
Well, quite a bit if this game goes on for a while, but looks like we're just about dead even on those right now, so it really is anybody's game. But Storm, they have the momentum swinging against them now. You're right, Doom Trouble hasn't landed a great assault and battery lately. He's been able to pick off maybe a single target, but one of the downsides of his positioning has been they just annihilate him. And Storm, they seem kind of leery of going in on this. They're losing out some of their scaling now, and Fusion, they have this experience to fall back on. They are doing the outplays, and they're doing them well, and they're really able to start dealing with Lorlo as well.
They haven't had a good Gnar ultimate lately as well. In the last fight, Lorlu held on to it until the very end. Didn't have a good transformation timing. Sometimes it can be hard to do that if you have a split-second fight that you have to get into. Only ended up using that ultimate on Nintendo, who ended up living at the end of the day, so pretty much not making use of it. And right now, the Siege composition for Fusion is just so good. They have Caitlyn, they have Azir for that sort of zone control. You can see him putting his soldiers off to the side.
He's not letting Lorlo get into here, and they've got a decent wave. They're able to keep pushing him back. They should be able to get this turret, but they have to be so careful. Here comes Lorlo. Oh, the Emperor's Divide to push them back again. Assault and Battery is going to connect on Huhi, but they don't have enough damage to take him down. And he Sonya's the Howling Gale, but Xpeke says, no you don't. And here comes LeBlanc. Chunky Fresh still alive. The Gnar throws the house at Nien Tanso, but 4 out of 5 members are able to make it out. They traded for turret. There's nothing that Storm can take off the back of this, and that is still a win for Fusion.
Crazy stuff there, and if Huhi had actually lived through that, that would have been one of the greatest time Zhonya's we've seen like all day, and we've seen some great ones. Now, this does give Storm a chance with the numbers advantage to take control over this Baron area, but they definitely don't have enough room to try and go ahead and take that. Now, turret does end up falling somewhere, but I think that was just...
Was that an Azir turret?
I think it was an Azir turret.
I have lost track of what turrets are real. Now here's another Baron attempt by Storm. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Lorlo providing the zone control all on his own, and the Baron does go over to Storm. They are looking like they maybe want to take a fight here, but an untimely Gnar transformation is not exactly what they needed. Poked down as low as they are, and they're a bit scattered. So no fight just yet. They can't back, but here's this. There's a huge minion wave on bot, and Huhi has to go back to deal with it, and also they're restarting the siege.
And even though the siege composition for Storm isn't that great, if they have the numbers advantage, they're just going to hard engage.
Yep, turn transfer over onto Nintendo Dex. They just blow him up, and Xpeke coming up huge there with the Rocket's Trance Therapy. The wave is out. Xpeke double kill over to Nien, end, though. He turns the damage around, but here comes ManCloud, kiting back. Lorlo trying to make something happen, but he gets pushed away by Chunky Fresh. The chase is on now in the reverse direction, and here comes Nien Tanso, going to send the Q out. A little bit more damage on there. He's going to net over and try to pick a kill. ManCloud, no, the assassination, and he shuts him down, and Chunky Fresh goes down as well. They take out everybody but Huhi and Trance Therapy. However, ManCloud and Baby Eater are blinking as well.
Wow, so at the end of the day, it ends up being a 3-for-3 trade. But
How can you count that?
That's a victory for Fusion indeed, because they take off 3 Baron buffs, they thwart the siege there, and they were down in that fight in members, and that was on Storm's terms there. They were the ones who initiated that fight. And Nien just on the back line doing so much damage, kiting so well. His positioning in this game has been pretty on point. He had a rough start getting killed 1v1 by Lorlu early on in the game, but he's really come back into this one. He's full build now, has finished the Bloodthirster and the Last Whisper, and so he's really scary. Nearing 400 farm at this point. We're starting to get really late in this game. I think
yeah,
that's
45 minutes has kind of been our benchmark to see how far they can go. But Storm, they're still up in the lead as far as kills go, but that doesn't really mean much anymore. And again, it's been really back and forth. The fights have traded just about even. There's still a couple of Baron buffs here for a few of their members, but they're not very confident anymore that they can take these fights, so they're just settling to grab little edges here and there and trying to push down on the bottom side. They've yet to crack the inhibitor line. And there is a dragon up. This is an incredibly important one for both teams. If Storm picks off number 4, they're that much closer to the doubles. They're that much closer to being able to push back and get a little bit more of an edge in destruction. But Fusion need this third one for the mobility, so they're going to look to contest this easy. Lorlo jumping away. There we go. The Corki rockets out. The wave is on. The dragon is low. Can they take it down? No, it's smited away by Doom Trobo. That's dragon number 4 for Storm, and they definitely are happy about that. Not losing a single member, and all of a sudden revitalized to go back in by.
And they're looking for kills. ManCloud seems like he's hunting for blood.
Do we have a base race here?
Oh, no.
No. Fusion, they're hesitating. They're not going for this one. This tower's forfeit right now, and this could be an inhibitor. They don't have the empowered recall, though. However, Storm, they get cold feet. And actually, Nien and Trance Therapy say, no, that's okay, we're good. What is going on?
Lorlu is back, but they are going to be able to trade turret for turret in that situation. I think that Storm probably just could have kept pushing. Their Baron buff did dissipate right as they were heading up, and wow, ManCloud! Where did Nintendo X go?
Back to Fountain, I think. That was very quick. ManCloud is becoming a force to be reckoned with. 11-7. Yes, he's died a lot, but man, has he made that completely worth now. Everybody from Storm running into the bottom. There's another turret there, guys. I guess we have to clear it out all over again. But Fusion still having a rough time fending off these dive sieges. Lorlo, Lorlo, he runs right into Nien Tanso and pops his Randuin's Omen. Does take more damage than he's able to dish out. That Caitlyn's starting to hurt, especially with the red buff, and Lorlo a little hesitating here. I don't know if this is the smartest move now that he's gone back to Mini-Nog.
He's got backup here,
though. He does have backup, and that's the wrong place to go. ManCloud has found Nien, nowhere to go, and I think he's going to be gone after this one. Xpeke says thank you very much. I will take that kill.
It took him a while, and ManCloud barely survives by the skin of his teeth there, and the end still hurts, and he finds himself in a rough spot, but you can tell it takes 4 people to take him down, and he still almost takes one out with him. But these death timers are long, with Nien down for about another minute. This could open up opportunities for Storm to take additional control over the game here. Blue turret self-destructed. Okay.
Yeah, that is 12 towers to Storm, TJ.
I didn't even know there was 12 towers in the game.
You know, sometimes you do math, and sometimes math doesn't work.
Storm breaking the game right now with picking up 12 towers.
That was a really hasty Emperor's Divide, but ManCloud, he got blocked twice. Yeah, that was...
He flashed into the wall, and those soldiers just knocked him back over.
I suppose. Now, Nintendo, he's in a lot of trouble here, though, and he has to burn his flash as well. I don't think he's going to live through this one. Xpeke is going to get his 10th kill of the game, kind of quietly ramping up there. ManCloud finds another pickup, and what is going on with Fusion? They just got caught with their pants down in the jungle, and now there should be an inhibitor picked off here for sure. Storm rolling away with this one. They were moving on forward early in the game. They stalled out when they just started making so many mistakes, but now it looks like Storm just might be able to take a little bit more here. They've got one inhibitor finally cracked down, and they have a decent timing window to push for more.
And that'll be the name of our next Broadway show. Caught with their pants down in the jungle. I think more people would pay to watch that one.
If you want to call it a Broadway show, that's fine, but I'm not going to comment on that any further, TJ. But
quote-unquote Broadway
are we allowed to sell these now at this point? I'm not really sure if
Broadway
I really
show.
want that associated with me, but
more like a Sunday afternoon.
It just keeps getting worse and worse.
Okay.
That's what our lives have come to. But
yeah.
At this point, Fusion.
We're 6 hours into the EPS. Please send help.
We're still here, guys. We'll be here all day.
All right, well.
I have no idea why they keep getting caught like this. They have this. They should have these really great team comms. This mentality. It just seems like something is off. Something is missing right now, and maybe it's MacNoon and Glebe as well. You know, new team roster shuffles are always kind of a bit of a weird thing. They've said in the past they're very confident in Chunky Fresh being able to pick up any role, any slack, but it does seem like they're struggling. And there are flashes of brilliance, and enough to put Storm on the back foot. They could still come back and win this game, but Storm has been given every opportunity here, and at this point, it's their game to lose.
Definitely, and it's been their game to lose since about 15 minutes in. If you think all the way back to what seems like such a long, long time ago, towards the beginning of this game.
51 minutes.
Towards the beginning of this game, Storm actually had a bigger gold lead at 15 minutes than they do now at 50 minutes. Now, they're not really letting up much control. They're still putting a lot of pressure on Fusion. They're still finding catches. It still seems like they have control over the map.
They do have control over the Baron, but that may not last much longer. Fusion looking to answer for something.
The wave.
There's the wave out. Lorlo, he's not Mega just yet. Oh, he goes in at the perfect time, and a big Gnar lands on Nintendo X and Trance Therapy, who he will take him out, and the Baron is secure at the cost of Lorlo's life.
70-second death timers now, so this is a big window of opportunity for Fusion to push straight up this mid lane. I've said it multiple times this game. They have a really great siege composition, and I mean, Storm does have the Baron buff, but when you're in a defensive situation, it doesn't help nearly as much. In the end, it's just huge right now. He's full build. He's got a lot of peel for him as well, and a lot of things to take the attention away from himself with like Emperor's Divide and just Azir soldiers in general. Maincloud's doing what he can to sort of draw attention away from the base. With these Baron-empowered minions, even LeBlanc can push pretty quickly onto his base, and you can see, look at, wow.
The towers are starting to melt so fast everywhere you go, and the Baron minions as well are just doing absolute work right now. Dragon's going to be up in a few more seconds, and just for you guys checking in, this current score, 2-4 with Dragons, but Storm is on the winning edge of that one. If they get this 5th, Fusion is in a lot of trouble. The double bonuses come into play, as well as that Baron buff, and as you mentioned in a previous game, that starts to be trouble here. Can they maybe get the Smite Seal up?
Oh!
Yes, they can! Doom Trobo coming up with it, and he just stands there. I don't care if I die. Oh, wait, I got a Guardian Angels anyways, and they're just looking unsure on Fusion's side. They get that kill, but a 5th Dragon going over to Storm, and they take an inhibitor down in the top lane. They've got the one in the bottom. They can keep on pushing. Storm is just making shambles of Fusion's base.
And that's a big victory for them. They do lose Doom Trobo and his Guardian Angel proc, but they pick up an inhibitor plus the 5th Dragon buff in the process. And that Dragon buff is temporary, so they will have to make use of that while they can, while that buff is still ticking. But with that buff, of course, doubles all the other bonuses that you get, being minion monster damage, movement speed, 6% ability power, and attack damage, as well as that additional damage to structures. You saw just how fast Maincloud, a LeBlanc, not necessarily a champion known for pushing towers, he took down an inhibitor tower and an inhibitor in probably like 10 seconds. So you can see just how effective that 5th Dragon buff actually is.
That is a big Gnar, even when he's little. Oh. He's like a bigger model than LeBlanc, and he's a Yordle.
LeBlanc is a very fragile woman. I swear they made the model sizes smaller for like delicate lady champions.
Isn't LeBlanc supposed to be like a master illusionist? Shouldn't she like actually be like some 40-year-old like Harry Noxian?
Am I going crazy, or are Caitlyn, Diana, and LeBlanc all smaller since patch 4.21?
I think he might be going crazy, but that's mostly because we're in a 55-minute game that is just this back and forth.
But Diana? I was playing an ARAM.
Well, you know, it's New Year's resolutions, man. Maybe she's cutting weight.
I guess so. If League of Legends champions could do that, crazy pyrotechnics.
Man, we were talking about musicals. You want me to come up with something? I'll talk about the Champion Weight Loss Program. Gragas will be your first sign-up, but, you know.
That'll be the name of my 3rd Broadway show.
TJ's secondary career balloons here on ESL Pro Series.
I would like to take a second to thank Pyrotechnics, who is the inspiration behind my newfound hobby.
Chunky Fresh is just getting chunked out. There's so many holes in this base right now, even with the inhibitor back up on the bottom lane. As soon as I say it, they start moving for it here. The damage is heavy on both sides of the equation. That one just gets poked on down. Lorelo so massive right now, and they can retreat. Maybe not. Oh, he wants to go back in. What a huge Gnar! And there they go, the Assault and Battery shredding through the remnants of Fusion. Nintendo X running back to Fountain. Chunky with the Emperor's Divide does manage to pick off Baby Eater, but it's just a consolation prize. I think this has got to be game number 1. They wrecked through turret 1. They're going to turret 2. Here comes the man drop. I don't think that's going to do anything. And game number 1 in 56 minutes goes to Storm.
It took them a long time, and that seems to be the theme of today. It takes them a long time to win, but when they win in style. And I said it earlier, the power of the Gnar ultimate in some of these team fights can be devastating. Just one ultimate completely turned around, allowed them to win in a situation where they were trying to do that exact thing for about 30